Only a limited number will be sold nationwide.
Up next, it's Jake and Drosh on Julian Gaming.
Felony of the 4th degree.
More specifically, he studied marine biology and spent a few years in the 80s teaching kids about crustaceans and shit at the Ocean Institute.
I stepped on one of these once.
While he was there, someone asked him to make a comic book about tidal pool animals in the tidal pool to help teach kids about tidal pool animals in the tidal pool. And he did. And I'm pretty sure it's lost media, save for a few pages. Hey, who's that? This is a video about Spongebob. And Ween. The band. I'm gonna give you a little history on Hillenburg and a tiny bit on Ween, and there'll be a big payoff at the end, trust me. So Hillenburg's got that dog in him, right? That artistic dog. After a few years of marine biologizing, he decides to go back to school, learns animation, and makes a couple thesis films. And they're pretty good. People in the art world like him. One of which people is one Joe Murray, the guy currently making Rocko's Modern Life. Dude looks at Steve, a guy with absolutely zero experience in the animation industry, with hardly any material to back up his skill set, hands him a directing job for the show he's working on, which... What? You don't break into any industry by directing. I know it's the 90s. I know that Nickelodeon was experimenting at the time, and I know that Rocko's Modern Life is a very unusual show. But you don't hire fresh college talent to direct a production. That doesn't happen. I'm sorry, I need to calm down. Let me put something on the radio. Ween is a fascinating band, consisting primarily of one Dean Ween and one Gene Ween. For those wondering, the word Ween means nothing. It's a lot like Rocko, actually, in that it's the kind of thing that could only have ever been picked up by like a major distributor in the 90s. Their material ranges from genuine beauty to intentionally obnoxious dog shit. Like really, I want you to listen to this and just soak up the energy of it for a moment.
Yesterday we lost our lives, tomorrow we were born. Fortune smiled upon us.
Anyway, much like Hillenburg, Ween had been undergoing a sort of creative metamorphosis throughout the 90s. Which is to say that they transitioned away from peniscore into trying essentially any rock subgenre with a name, from prog to punk to country, and usually killing it.
We're influenced by a lot of different stuff.
We never think about that stuff.
Yeah.
It just sounds like Ween to my ears, you know. We don't sit down, you know, we'd be a real bunch of homos if we sat down and we're like, all right, let's do like a funky song, you know. Good music or whatever will transcend all that anyway, you know.
I fuck with that mentality so hard. Except the part about homos. If Ween were gay, I think that would be awesome.
I went too fast. We gotta take a break. I'll be right back. Fuck. Mark's Pizzaria.
This year we're celebrating 35 years in business.
Did you know?
Hey, you're probably wondering why I'm so awesome and cool and everyone wants to have sex with me all the time. My secret? I use
Private Internet Access VPN. The VPN that gives you private internet access VPN. Using glorious technology of the ancients, a VPN masks your true IP, hiding your nefarious deeds from ISPs, government, and me. Mostly me. Check it out. But why choose PIA? private internet access, smartly named after the thing it does, sets itself apart in a few key ways. PIA works with all major streaming services, allowing me to watch region-restricted content outside my own region. PIA gives me money. PIA's client software is open source, increasing transparency. PIA gives me money. Similarly to Jair Bolsonaro's Rainforest Code, PIA maintains a strict no-log policy. And PIA gives me money. Here's how to order.
Visit PIAVPN.com/noodle and learn why PIA has racked up over 30 million downloads. Click now for $2.03 a month and 4 months for free. Click now. Now.
Don't get too close.
Your friends will love this adorable hedgehog's funny song as your ringtone. Text Sonny to 65555. Standard message rates apply.
We're back with... Sorry. We're back with more low-tier goon on Julian Gaming. Alas, it is 1996, and Ween are straight. After a successful run, Rocco's Modern Life is winding down production. At this point, anyone in Steven Hillenburg's directorial shoes would be asking themselves about what kind of show they would make, given the chance. Anyone besides Steven Hillenburg?
Working on the last season, I remember I was talking with writer Martin Olson about funny animal shows, and so I really thought, I don't really have an idea that I'd want to torture myself over for several seasons. And then Martin was looking at the intertitle comic that I had, and he said, "What are you, crazy? This is your show right here."
It was not his show. But it was the starting point for a show. For a while, Steven struggled to grapple with these two completely separate worlds he dedicated so much of his life to. But with this project, suddenly they could come together in a way that made sense creatively. Steve's show would combine his two biggest interests, marine life and the arts. He lands on the idea of a well-meaning sponge boy. He begins to flesh out his world and its inhabitants. He hires colleagues to help him with the concept art. He nails the pitch with Nickelodeon, and right around the time that him and his team get to work on a pilot, Ween's new album, The Mollusk, arguably the peak of their discography, is a concept album themed almost entirely around the sea, explored musically in all manner of ways, from sea shanties to prog rock to penis core. You could describe much of it as a sort of ocean-related shenanigans. Nautical nonsense, if you wish. We can make plenty of surface-level connections to Steven Hillenburg's interests. It's funny, water-based, mutilated lips vocals kind of sound like Spongebob if you squint your ears hard enough, but really, I think the connections run a lot deeper than that. The Mollusk as a project is a strange, irreverent, cartoonish, goofy-ass album.
Have you ever tried to shrink like an ice cube in a sink? Have you ever tried to see what lies hidden in the tree? Have you ever made a flag and squished it in your hand?
It's an album that is fascinated with the ocean, in love with the aesthetics of the sea and all its cliches.
Three men are they were. Three men out at sea.
It's an album that was comedically, thematically, dare I say, spiritually laser-focused on the exact interests of Hillenburg, a marine biologist, cartoonist, and self-described band geek, released just as he himself was figuring out how all these same ideas fit together for him, creatively. This is the kind of shit that makes people believe in God. Not long after The Mollusk had come out, Gene and Dean of Ween received a phone call from a marine biologist turned cartoon showrunner. Apparently he's a big fan of The Mollusk, and he wants Ween to write a song for the show he's working on. Now, this isn't the first, nor would it be the last time that Ween was asked to write a song for a company or something. Probably the most infamous example of this is when Pizza Hut asked him to write a tune for Pizza Hut. Ween sent him like 6 different demos. The Hut hated all of them. Deal was ended, never went anywhere. Except for the certifiable suburb classic Where'd the Cheese Go?, which was leaked and turned into one of those only real fans know kind of things.
Where'd the cheese go?
Where the motherfucking cheese go at?
What do you even say about this? I just don't think there's really much you can want some fucking motherfucking cheese go at. Anyway, Steve and the rest ask for a song. Ween is like,
yeah, sure, I don't
fucking care where the fucking cheese at. Ween forgets about the deadline. Spongebob crew gets a little pissed. Ween is like, oh fuck, fuck. And Ween throws some shit together. Quote, in about 3 minutes on my couch, recorded it, sent it all off on Christmas Eve within the span of roughly an hour. A Christmas gift. An almost definitely contractually obligated Christmas gift. A song written, recorded, produced, and mailed off within the span of an hour. You can imagine how that went. The crew got the tape, listened to what Ween had made, and pretty much just said, change nothing about this. It's perfect.
Wanna learn how to tie your shoe? It's a very easy thing to do. Just sit on down and I'll give you the scoop. What's that? It's called the loop-de-loop. You gotta take a lace in each.
There's a real sense of love you can feel between both Ween and the Spongebob crew anytime they mention each other. Season 1 especially really wears its inspirations on its sleeve.
Mind your wandering eye, you little mollusk.
And Diener of Wiener has referred to the band's involvement with Sprug as one of their proudest achievements, which is a lot, considering the list of achievements. Also, I don't think they really had much to do with the production of Sponge aside from that hour-long session. I don't know, maybe they were talking more about having inspired the show in the first place. It's a nice thought.
And your shoes are looking good.
Regardless, as we all know, Sponge went on to be more successful than anyone could have imagined. Maybe a little too successful, depending on who and when you asked. As the show continued to grow, attracting more and more attention, more money, and talks began of a movie, Steve started to talk about winding the show down.
We're working on episodes 40 through 60 right now, and I always looked at that as a typical run for an animated show. Ren and Stimpy lasted about that long, for example, and I thought now was a good time to step aside and look at a different project. I personally think it's good not to go to the point where people don't want to see your show anymore.
He'd pretty much made up his mind. SpongeBob had run its course. The show's production was put on hold after season 3 had wrapped so they could focus entirely on the movie, which he and his crew saw, at least for a time, as a send-off to the whole project. A grand finale of sorts. So how do you sign off on the thing that you've spent the last 4 to 6, I mean in Steven's case, even more than that, years of your life working on?
You now realize you don't want what you thought you wanted. What you really wanted was inside you all along.
Are you crazy? I was just gonna tell you that your fly is down. Manager, this is the greatest day of my life!
Ocean man, take me by the hand, lead me to the land that you understand. Ocean man.
With a song off the album that helped inspire the fucking show in the first place. Of course, it's perfect.
Ocean man, the crust of a tan man, and by the sand, soaking up the thirst of the land. Ocean man.
Nickelodeon refused to let the show end, of course. Steve would stay on as an executive producer, but his time running the show was basically over. Likewise, much of the original crew had since moved on to other projects, with that gap after season 3, leaving the newer material with a decidedly different vibe. I'm gonna be real, I do not like most anything that came after the movie, but it honestly just doesn't matter. It could have all been sex, and it still wouldn't have taken away from what makes this story so nice. The show may have been too lucrative to stop ever, but SpongeBob is made by people, not brands or corporations. SpongeBob the brand will continue to suffer the cruel and usual punishment of financial success, but the Hillenburg era of SpongeBob, inseparable from the penis music that inspired it, started and ended perfectly. I choose to focus on the people who made that happen. Ween helped inspire SpongeBob. They made something cool that inspired something awesome. Then I made this video, which is cool and awesome.
This is for Stephen Hillenburg, who created SpongeBob Skrillex.
It's very thick. Sit on down and eat scoop. What's that? It's gonna do. You gotta take things in your jam. Go over and over again. Make you feel your back home. And she's all looking cool. You go over and back, left to right, into your bed, pull them tight like money. So Christmas love, face them up and ready to go. And she's all looking cool.
This is Craig, who just passed away that last week.